Hello, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. All right, I'm going to start out by talking about two passive income, slash side hustle opportunities that I'm a part of and I absolutely love. So, first off, I finally joined Thrive Market after thinking about it and hearing about it for years. But Alexis has all sorts of sensitivities to gluten and dairy. And I decided to give it a try. And it's really cool because you can sort by dairy free, gluten free, sugar free, non-GMO, made in the USA. Like they have all these different options. You could sort it by keto or paleo. So it's just really convenient. And I just got my first box and we got like a ton of stuff. They have chocolate that doesn't have all of the additives and sugar and everything, cookies, crackers, pasta that's all grain-free, gluten-free, and I really like it. And what surprised me was when you're a member, not only do you get everything obviously like shipped to your door, but all of these products, like I was just at the store the other day and they're cheaper through Thrive than they were in the store. And then everyone that signs up automatically gets an affiliate link. So this is a great opportunity if you have an audience or even if you just refer family and friends, you get $40 for everyone that signs up. So that's like a really good commission. So anyhow, if you already use them or you want to try them out, I do have a code for 40% off. You just use my link. So I'll put it in the show notes, or you can go to thelawofattractiontribe.com/thrive, THRVE, and just use that link. You'll get 40% off your first order. And then, like I said, if you then refer people, you get $40 for everyone that signs up. So that's a great deal. They have great products. My favorite that I will recommend if you are a chocolate lover like I am is Hu chocolate. It's HU. And I get the mint chocolate. They're like little nibs. And then I do the salty chocolate. And I keep them in the fridge. And it's like so good. It's so perfect for after dinner, like when I always want something sweet. And it's dairy free. It doesn't have a ton of sugar in it. And it's like clean ingredients. So I would definitely check that out. Again, just go to thelawofattractiontribe.com/thrive or go to the link in the show notes. And then the other one that you guys have been asking me a lot about, because I did a podcast episode on this, was reviewing clothes through Suzy. So right now they are accepting people, but you have to have a few requirements met. So first of all, you have to be 18 and older and be in the US. And then the second requirement is they're looking for plus size models or for moms that have kids that are like newborn to age 5 to try on clothes and review them and all of that. So if that is something that interests you and you meet those requirements, you can go to thelawofattractiontribe.com/Sozie. It's SOZIE. And fill out that info. I'll be in contact with you. It's a quick turnaround. We have to have your first order in and your reviews done by April 15th. So there is a bit of a deadline. There are some requirements, but that is probably like one of my most fun side hustle, passive income type things. So check those out. I'll link everything in the show notes and let's dive into today's episode. So today I thought that I would discuss like what happens when things are not manifesting the way you want them to, because I feel like I've gotten so many questions on this lately, and just I think there's been like a lot of, not like a lot of, but there's been a few people that I think are just getting like frustrated when things aren't happening on the timeline that they want, or in a specific way. So I was going to just give you like some examples and just discuss that a little bit. So first of all, with manifesting, this has probably already happened to you. It happens to me all the time where things might, like if you open yourself up to any possibility, things might manifest. Like you might get your goal, but it comes to you in a way where you're like, well, that's not really what I wanted. And so that has happened a few times to me, like recently, and I've got some big examples with that too. So one that just happened yesterday. So I've had on my vision board for this year, the blue verified check mark for Instagram. And I really like, I don't know, I just always wanted it because for some reason in my mind, I felt like, oh, that'll like, make me more credible or whatever. So I've had it on my vision board and I've like tried manifesting this, over the past, whatever, however many months. And so yesterday I get the message from Instagram that you can sign up to get the blue check mark verified, but you have to pay for it. So like now, just like Twitter did, they like rolled that out or whatever. And I was like, man, like I manifested it, I guess, but like it not in that way. Like I just wanted it, added on or whatever. So that's like one example. And stuff like that does happen and has happened to me like numerous times. So another big one that happened was and this is going back like a couple years, but I had set the goal that I wanted to manifest $100,000 and I wanted to pay the pool off because we had taken out a loan to build the pool. So I had like wrote it down and my husband was like in on it. We were talking about the amount and everything. And I had just assumed, like, well, I'll manifest this through my business. But then what ended up happening was like that same month, it was like right after we had kind of like declared this amount that we wanted. We got that, but again, it wasn't in the way that I wanted it. Like I wanted it through my business, but it ended up coming through like during COVID when you could take out money from your 401k. So I basically like got the $100,000. Like it was like, here's $100,000, but it was already like my money. It was just like in my 401k. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I could have this money right now, but that's not really the way I wanted it. So what that taught me was like after that, then I'm like, okay, now I do want to get a little more specific. So I do try to be like open to all possibilities, but in that kind of a scenario, like I want my business to bring in this amount, monthly or yearly or whatever. And getting specific on like, this is how I want it to happen. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think that when things like that happen, it doesn't mean that I was like, oh, I'm just going to give up and it just doesn't work. And I don't want, I don't want the $100,000 or whatever. It's like, I'll take it however I can get it. Like, I'm grateful for that. And that's amazing. But now I'm going to get even more specific on my goal. And now I'm going to say like, I want to manifest X amount through my business. So it's just like kind of fine tuning it as you go. And like every time getting a little more clear and a little more specific. And then another thing too was like for years, like from the time I learned about the law of attraction up until my 30th birthday, I was so focused on money. Like I want to manifest money, like X amount of money, like specific dollar amounts. And I was so good at it. And I was always manifesting it. But it was through my day job, which made me miserable. And the more money I manifested, the more stress came along with that. And the more time away from my family. So that helped me get really clear on what the real goal was. And the real goal really wasn't money at all. It was freedom. I wanted to have freedom. And with that, you kind of need money, right? Like if you want to have freedom, you have to still have money to pay your bills. And if you want freedom to travel, that requires money to travel and all that kind of stuff. So that just helped me get clear on like, instead of focusing all of my energy on the money, what if I start focusing on the lifestyle And that's where the whole like manifest a life you don't need a vacation from came from, because that became what I centered my focus and my energy around, was like the lifestyle I was trying to create and not the means to get there. Um, so I wanted to bring up some of those different examples. And the other example, and I think I've shared this with you guys like a long time ago. I don't know like how much I went into, but the other one was struggling with not being able to have another child. So I had Alexis, and then, I was young and just starting out my career at the time. So I just kind of thought in my mind like, oh, well, whenever I want to have another kid, like it'll just happen and I can just wait. And then it took years to get to that point where I was like, I felt like, okay, I'm going to expand my family. Like it's time. And then when I finally came to that realization, like it wasn't happening. And I went to the doctor and it was like, well, it can take, sometimes it's an average of like 9 months of waiting all the way to a year. So I really wouldn't even recommend like looking into it until you wait that amount of time. And so then that happened, and it's like still, no baby. I wasn't getting pregnant. And it was just this constant every single month, a disappointment. And it progressively got worse, because it was like in the beginning, it was like, oh man, okay, well, maybe next time, next month, whatever. And then it just got to the point like something must be wrong. And then it was to the point of like, oh my God, it's never going to happen. Like I missed my chance. I waited too long and now I can't. And now I'm screwed, and then it got like to the point where, years had gone by, and I was like so bitter about it. It like was really detrimental to my mindset, where I would see other people that was happening for, and I would get like envious. And I finally realized, I was like, this is awful. Like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to put that energy out. Like, it's not their fault. And maybe this is all happening for a reason. Maybe if I were to have another child, like I would not survive it, or, who knows, but I'm just going to trust that everything, happens for a reason. So I felt like in order to close that chapter and like truly move on and like not continue in just this negative, discouraged mindset, I needed some form of closure. So at that point in time, like pretty much every test had been done and everything was showing up fine. They were like, we really can't explain why this isn't happening. It's just not happening. And that wasn't good enough. I was like, I need someone to just tell me like, okay, we're going to be done with this and just move on with your life. So I finally went and I met with this fertility doctor, and he was like this older guy and very, the bedside manner was like not the best or whatever. But I pretty much told him, I was like, this is killing me. It's driving me crazy. I have zero answer and I just need an answer. I just need you to tell me like, there's this problem, or this is why. And I just need to get to the bottom of this, because it's like driving me insane. So he like spent a long time talking with me, looking through everything, all of my charts. And he saw that I have factor V, which means there's like two different kinds, and I have the more like the two bad genes. So you're basically like very prone. There's a high risk for blood clots. And then whenever you get pregnant, like your risk for blood clots automatically goes up. And then if you do fertility treatments, like forget it. Like that's through the roof, like a lot of very, very high risk. So he looked at that and he was like, here's the thing, you could do, fertility treatments, but he said, I'm not going to do that. Like you could die like this. You're such a high risk that it wouldn't be in your best interest. There's too much of a risk. And I am not going to take on that risk. And so he's like, I would just be grateful that you already had a child when you were young, and you were healthy and everything was fine and there were no complications, and just like count your blessings. And I would not recommend fertility treatment, and I wouldn't even recommend you getting pregnant like at all because it's so risky. I was like, holy shit, like, okay. And so I told myself, like, I'm going to give myself the day to just completely lose it, grieve, get through all the emotions, like feel it fully. So I did that. And then I like literally said out loud, like I went home, like I didn't even go back to work that day. I went home, sat on the couch. I was crying my eyes out. I was like, this isn't fair. Like, I can't believe this and blah, blah, blah. And like just going crazy. And then I just literally like said out loud, I was like, I trust you. Like, I trust that I'm not supposed to have this baby right now. And like, that if I did, maybe I would die. Maybe the baby would die. Like, I don't know, but I just trust, I trust that there's a bigger reason behind all of this. And I'm just going to let it go, letting it go. And I'm not going to continue like living like this anymore. And I did. I just like done, like, I'm letting it go. Like, I'm grateful. I have my daughter. And it really was like that surrender. And like, it felt like a weight was off my shoulders. So I'm like, I don't have to think about this anymore and worry about it because he gave me the answer. And I asked for an answer and I got the damn answer, And so anyhow, like that happens. I just surrender. I let it go. I'm moving on with my life. And I felt it was very like healing. Like I grieved and I felt it, but then I felt lighter. It was very like, it just, I needed that. I needed that sort of like, I don't know, closure, I guess. Well, I shit you not. That next month, guess what happens? I get pregnant. And it was just like, I started laughing when I saw the result because I was like, okay, like I get it now. I had to surrender. Like I was so in this negative, nasty place in my mind, which it's hard not to be because you're so close. There's so many emotions tied to it. But I had finally like let it go. And then it's like, boom, it happens. So I felt like that was my big lesson on surrendering and just trusting that there's like a bigger plan in place, And so then I have Amelia and like everything was fine. There was no problem at all. And I remember going to my doctor, and then she even sent me to like a specialist, like a high risk doctor. And I was telling them about that fertility specialist, and they were appalled. They were like, I cannot believe that he would say that you could die from this. They're like, what is he even talking about? We have so many options now to like make sure that doesn't happen. And we can put you on, medication and blah, blah, blah. And they were just like, we can't even believe he told you that. And I was like, well, you know what? I know why it happened because that's what I needed. Like I needed him to say that so I could let go of this. I was like desperately clinging to this goal. And that was the only way that I would be able to let it go. And I'm like, so I needed that. And that's what I got. So anyhow, yeah, had Amelia, like everything was fine, no issues at all. And then I ended up getting pregnant again with Aiden. I'm like, what the hell? Like I went through all these years of thinking like, I just can't. And now I've got two, And so like looking at them now, it's like, I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful that I didn't get pregnant any earlier because then I wouldn't have them, and like, they are like meant to be here. And, so I've had a lot of people ask me, I mean, that's probably been my number one, question and feedback is like, talk about that and do a fertility subliminal. So that's why I put that one fertility subliminal in the app, which is hilarious because I was recording this subliminal and the whole time I'm just like, I'm kidding. Like, I don't really want this. I'm just making this for someone else because I'm saying all these fertility affirmations. I'm like, I don't want any more kids. Like, I'm done. And so I felt like I had to like sage and like cleanse it all off after. I'm like, this is not for me. Crystal clear. This is not for me. This is for the people that want it. So that was interesting. And that's why it took me so long to make that subliminal, because I'm like, I don't want to manifest this for me, like by recording it. Um, so anyhow, I think that especially with that topic, it's just a very emotional topic, and it's a very difficult topic. And that's why I don't really talk about it that much, because I kind of tiptoe. I don't want to like, you know, make anyone upset. But I know, because I was in that situation for years, and I was like desperately clinging to exactly how I thought it had to go, the time frame I thought it had to be by, the way it would be, like everything I had just planned out in a specific way. And then when it didn't happen that way, I just, I was trying to force it, and I was clinging on tighter and tighter and tighter. And it started to just really ruin my energetic vibration, where I just felt like resentful all the time and negative, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't a good place. And that was like a really, really tough lesson on learning surrender and how to let go. So whether it's, fertility struggles or financial struggles or anything that you're trying to manifest, and you're like, you know what? I've done it all. I've journaled on it. I've listened to the subliminals. I've, done a vision board, and it's still not here. The more like energy you have like that, where it's like, why isn't it happening? Where is it? Like that's just drawing more of that energy. Like you really have to get to this place of surrendering. And like I said, like I just said it out loud. I was like, I trust you. Like I'm leaving it in your hands. I'm done worrying about it. That's when you kind of like open that up a little bit and release some of that clingy energy. So I don't know. I hope that helps if you guys ever like come across that. And then the other thing is, when it doesn't manifest the way you want it to, like the whole Instagram verification thing, just don't even give like a second thought to it, like of how it didn't happen the way you want it. Just refine your goal and make a better goal. Like in Get Rich Lucky Bitch, where she says, just get a better goal. Just keep refining, keep getting more specific, because it's not a one and done. Like we're manifesting for the rest of our lives. And that's the other thing. I had someone tell me like, I've been trying this for like whatever, X amount of months, and it's not working. So I'm just ready to like give up on manifesting. And I get it. Like, I mean, we've all been there, right? Like at some point or another. But I'm like, well, like you can think you're giving up on it, but you're not. Like you're manifesting either way. So you might as well focus on what you want versus what you don't want. Because either way, like you're still creating your reality, you're still putting your energy out there, and manifesting is manifesting. It's just your thoughts and your energy coming into the physical form, and that's going to happen regardless. What we're doing here is just getting specific so that we manifest what we want to manifest, instead of living on autopilot, manifesting by default, or manifesting what other people want for us. So that's really the whole, I guess, point that I was trying to make. And then the one other thing too is like, I think the biggest part that helped me get to that point of surrender was letting it all out, getting that energy out. Like, I mean, I sobbed. I was like crying. I was like pissed. Like I just let it all out. And I didn't realize like how much I had been holding in for so long. And I think that's so important to move that energy, because if you don't release it somehow, then you're still going to be holding on to that, and it's going to be really, really hard to surrender. So you can release it through actually feeling your emotions and not suppressing them like we've all been conditioned to do. EFT tapping, that's a great one. Any type of movement, and any movement, like even just shaking your body, dancing, walking, exercising, like any form of movement, because we're all energy. And when you move your body, you're moving energy. Um, so, and then I think to get to that point of like fully releasing it, you have to